Namaskar. Welcome to this edition of News Bulletin. In the headlines today, Roll Shop helps the mills of SAIL Rourkela Steel Plant to post outstanding performance in financial year 21. Entry gates and offices of SAIL Rourkela Steel Plant disinfected as a precaution against COVID-19. Now the news in detail. Crane Maintenance Department helps Rourkela Steel Plant post excellent performance in financial year 21. And intensive sanitization continues in different parts of Steel Township for preventing COVID-19.
Let's continue to be proactive in our approach to contain COVID-19, urges Mr. Deepak Chatraj, CEO to RSP Collective. And more than 12,500 COVID-19 vaccines administered in vaccination centers of SAIL Rourkela Steel Plant. SAIL Rourkela Steel Plant supplies liquid medical oxygen to hospitals of Odisha and other states to combat COVID-19 pandemic. And intensive sanitization by SAIL Rourkela Steel Plant continues to combat COVID-19 pandemic.
The Roll Shop helped all the mills of SAIL Rourkela Steel Plant to post outstanding performance in the financial year 2020-21. Notably, Roll Shop caters to the requirements of the ready roll assemblies to plate mill, hot strip mill, cold rolling mill and silicon steel mill of the plant. The dedicated team Roll Shop extended timely support to all the mills, thus enabling them to achieve ABP targets in the last fiscal. The timely inspection, maintenance, lubrication and proper roll management helped in reduction in failure of bearings in HSM roughing stand in financial year 21 in comparison to financial year 20. It also reduced the overall roll consumption during the last fiscal in comparison to the previous fiscal. The improved performance of Roll Shop Collective also witnessed the reduction in incidents of roll shifting in HSM 1, finishing stand 4 and salvaging through in-house reconditioning of plate mill backup chokes. The wholehearted efforts of the unit helped in ensuring enhanced equipment availability as well as superior performance of the user departments. The unit spearheaded many initiatives including implementation of the 5S concept in the department to enhance performance. With the spike in the COVID-19 cases in Rourkela, cleaning and sanitization of plant equipments and public places has been intensified in SAIL Rourkela Steel Plant for preventing the spread of the pandemic. On 16th April, different entry gates of RSP such as the Samskar Gate, Traffic Gate, Main Gate, Emergency Gate, New Way Bridge Gate, Hirakud Gate, Tarapur Gate and Fertilizer Gates were disinfected by the Civil Engineering Services Department. The gates witness entry and exit of large number of employees and contract labor every day. These are also the places where the Central Industrial Security Force personnel are on duty round the clock. Hence, special efforts are being made to sanitize these spaces. It is worthwhile to note that hand sanitization of persons entering through the gates is also being carried out by a dedicated team. In addition, individual departments and employees are also taking every possible precaution like regular hand washing, social distancing and use of masks in accordance with the workplace advisory. The Crane Maintenance Department is a key unit that provides vital support in material handling right from processing of raw materials to loading of finished goods in a steel plant by ensuring safe and efficient operation of the EOT cranes. The unflinching efforts of the dedicated employees of the Crane Maintenance Unit helped SAIL Rourkela Steel Plant post an excellent production performance in the financial year 2020-21. The unit, which looks after the mechanical and structural maintenance of the EOT cranes involved in the process, executed many enterprising ideas in the last fiscal. Some of the commendable efforts include the major job of overhauling and replacement of spreader beam in 250-ton hot metal crane number 2131 in LHF Bay of Steel Melting Shop 2, SMS 2, and 150-ton of hot metal crane number 200 in pit side of Steel Melting Shop 1. Besides, the 30-ton SWL Tong assembles of slab yard crane number 2151 and 2162 were overhauled and replaced in SMS 2. The crane number 357 in the EF Bay of Hot Strip Mill 1 was revamped and commissioned for regular use. A new lift was also erected, commissioned and handed over to Ispat General Hospital for regular use at Burn Centre. The department meticulously planned all the inspection and repair activities in close coordination with the major production departments. The efforts also bear significance in view of the pandemic-induced major constraints in the most part of the last fiscal. In view of the soaring of COVID-positive cases, SAIL Rourkela Steel Plant has sounded a high alert both in the plant as well as in the township. Efforts are being made to see that all precautionary measures are in place to effectively contain the spread of the pandemic. The Public Health Unit of Town Engineering Department of RSP has been consistently carrying out sensitization of the public places in the Steel Township. On 15th April, the disinfection drive was carried out in Ispat College, Sector 16, Ispat English Medium School, Sector 20, Ispat General Hospital, Nursing Training Institute, Civil and Electrical Booth of IGH, Civic Centre, Rourkela Steel Television Centre, Durwani Bhavan, Police Station, Ispat Gopabandhu Library and market premises of Sector 19.
Let's continue to be proactive in our approach to contain COVID-19 and keep the situation under control, urged Mr. Deepak Chattaraj, CEO to the SAIL Rourkela Steel Plant Collective. The CEO was speaking in the online review meeting organized to take stock of the COVID-19 situation and the measures being taken by RSP to safeguard both the people and the plant. Mr. Rajveer Singh, ED Hospital Administration, Mr. Pankaj Kumar, ED Works, Mr. C.R. Mahapatra, CGM in charge MM and Marketing, Mr. S.K. Behera, CGM in charge Projects, Mr. P.K. Satpathy, CGM in charge P&A, Mr. Praveen Nigam, CGM in charge FNA, and other CGMs and HODs of the plant attended the meeting. Cautioning everyone about the gravity of the current situation with the pandemic wreaking havoc in many parts of the country, Mr. Chattaraj said, "We need to be extremely careful and take all sorts of precautions at the organizational level as well as individual level to not let things go beyond our control. We are getting adequate support from the government agencies. There must not be any panic amongst our employees and their family members. Let's strengthen the communication at all levels to help get over the crisis." The CEO also emphasized upon further strengthening the teleconsultation system for evaluating the advice of the doctors. He reviewed the testing facilities and stressed on expediting as well as ramping up of testing. Mr. Chattaraj also interacted with the CGMs and HODs of different departments and took their feedbacks. Mr. Rajveer Singh appraised about the preparedness of the medical collective to meet with the eventualities. Mr. Pankaj Kumar shared about the various issues and preparations in the plant for dealing with the situation. It is worth mentioning here that RSP has mobilized massive medical facilities to deal with situation. Treatment facilities with oxygen and ventilators provision have been made available at Ispat General Hospital. Besides, arrangements have also been made for the treatment of COVID-positive persons in the High-Tech Hospital, Shanti Memorial Hospital and JP Hospital. A 60-bed ICU facility in the recently inaugurated Super Speciality Hospital is slated to be utilized shortly for COVID treatment with support of the state government. Besides, plasma bank with the provision of storage facilities of 400 units of plasma has been set up in IGH with the support from state government. On an average, 350 RT-PCR testing are being done in IGH, which is helping in getting test results quickly. Plans are also afoot to double the testing capacity very soon. Provision of antigen testing has also been made in 4 locations in the township with the support of the state government. Besides, vaccination program is also going on at 4 locations. A dedicated COVID control room is also operating round the clock in the township to help the employees. The steel plant has also made ready COVID care centers for the employees and their families with medical facilities and arrangements for food, etc. A host of precautionary administrative steps have also been taken to dissuade large gatherings and enforce strict adherence to COVID guidelines in the steel plant and steel township. An apex committee of senior executives has been constituted to monitor and take proactive measures. Vaccination being an important measure to contain the spread of the COVID-19 pandemic, SAIL Rourkela Steel Plant is operating 4 vaccination centers in its township with the help of Government of Odisha. The centers are operating at the Rehabilitation Center of Ispat General Hospital, new OPD of IGH only for employees and their dependents, Sector 6 Healthcare and Sector 22 Hospital. Till 18th April, 12,570 shots of vaccines have been administered. Out of this, 2,035 shots have been administered to employees, 1,443 to their dependents, and 6,649 to former employees of the steel plant. Besides, 2,443 shots have also been administered to non-entitled persons. It is worth mentioning here that RSP is urging its employees and their family members above the age of 45 to take the vaccine. To further motivate the employees, a special leave is also being sanctioned on the day of vaccination. In another effort to strengthen the battle of the country against COVID-19 pandemic, SAIL Rourkela Steel Plant, under the guidance of Shri Dharmendra Pradhan, Honorable Minister of Petroleum and Natural Gas and Steel, Government of India, has been supplying liquid medical oxygen to different hospitals of Odisha as well as other states. It is worth mentioning here that the 3 air separation units of oxygen plant of SAIL RSP produce oxygen in gaseous form for use in the process of making hot metal and steel. The units also supply oxygen for use in the Ispat General Hospital of RSP. Besides, 2 more ASUs are being operated on build, own, operate basis by Mrs. Linde India Limited to meet RSP's oxygen demand. During the COVID-19 pandemic, when many hospitals of Odisha and other states were in dire need of oxygen to save the lives of the critically ill patients, RSP came forward to supply liquid medical oxygen from its units. Since April 2020, the oxygen plants of RSP along with Mrs. Linde has supplied more than 7,740 tons of LMO to Odisha as well as other states to meet the requirement of this vital life-saving item. The steel plant has in the meanwhile stepped up its liquid oxygen generation so as to serve the country during the crisis. While the gaseous oxygen is being used for sustenance of the plant processes, the entire production of liquid oxygen is being provided for medical use. In spite of tanker availability being the bottleneck, 572 tons of LMO have been supplied so far to Odisha and other states in the month of April 2021. It is worth mentioning here that SAIL RSP is making every possible effort to save lives of people from the clutches of COVID-19. Right from setting up of COVID-19 testing center and plasma bank to allowing its newly built super specialty hospital ICU to be utilized shortly as a COVID treatment facility, developing COVID care or isolation centers, running vaccination centers and treating COVID patients at its Ispat General Hospital, the steel plant is making its utmost contribution in keeping the countrymen safe, secure and healthy. Disinfection drive by SAIL Rourkela Steel Plant has intensified for preventing the spread of COVID-19 pandemic. On 20th April, the Public Health Unit of Town Engineering Department of RSP carried out the disinfected drive at CISF Barrack near Bistra Chowk. The workers wearing rubber boots, heavy-duty gloves and triple-layered masks disinfected the entire CISF Barrack area. Care was taken to sanitize the entrance lobbies, corridors, security guard booths, rooms, washrooms, cafeterias, switchboards, handrails, doorposts, and frequently touched contaminated areas. The civil engineering department on its parts disinfected the gates across the plant, ensuring safety of the employees and all who enter the premises, including the CISF personnel who are posted at the gates round the clock. Provision of hand sanitization at all entry points and office entrances continues as a safety precaution. In addition to this, daily mopping with disinfectants is being organized in the offices. Frequently touched areas and articles like tabletops, chairs, chair handles, pen stands, computers, keyboards, mouse pads, printers, sanitizer dispensers, intercom equipments, etc. are also being cleaned with disinfectants on a daily basis. In addition to this, individual departments and employees are also taking every possible precaution like regular hand washing, social distancing and use of masks in accordance with the workplace advisory. That's all from our news just today. Namaskar.